Welcome into the Punt Pass podcast. I'm your host, Drew Butler, joined alongside my co-host, Aaron Murray. Be sure to follow us on social media at Punt Pass on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Drew Butler. He is at Aaron Murray 11. And head on over to puntandpass.com, the number one destination for all things college football, really all things football at this point. It is the best podcast website in the world. There is no doubt about it. It's got our blog up there, our YouTube page. Obviously, go subscribe to the YouTube page, and our merchandise. Hats are going fresh off the stock rack, and visors come in this week, supposedly. Kavana Holcomb, she ordered a hat. Aaron, she asked us to sign it for her son. So we will do that. Next time I see you in person, we'll get that hat signed and I'll get it sent out to her ASAP. So head on over to puntandpass.com. A lot going on in the world of football, college football. National Signing Day is tomorrow. The Super Bowl is set. Caleb Williams just transferred. Tom Brady just retired. So much to go through, Aaron, on this quick episode of Punt and Pass. But let's start with the action that happened last weekend. That, of course, being the conference championship games and the NFL playoffs. Super Bowl is set. The Cincinnati Bengals take down the Kansas City Chiefs. They are in. And the Los Angeles Rams, led by Georgia Bulldog Matthew Stafford, beat the San Francisco 49ers. Bengals versus Rams in LA. Second year in a row, where a team is playing in their home stadium for the Super Bowl. So pretty legit. Let's start with that AFC Championship game, though. The Bengals down 21-3, don't even flinch. Joe Shiesty and Jamar Chase come roaring back. They take the Chiefs to overtime, lose the coin flip. Everybody pretty much writes them off. Sure enough, they win. This team is just hard to root against.
They really are. I mean, it's amazing to see in 2 years – Joe Burrow and Chase, and obviously what Jefferson's doing with Minnesota. Like, I thought, in my opinion, that was the best team. I said it after the season and during the season back in
2019 LSU.
Yeah, 2019 LSU was the best college football team I've ever seen. Best offensive performance I've ever seen, all that. And now you're seeing those guys and what they're doing in the NFL.
Yeah.
It just further verifies that team in 19 was a bunch of badasses.
Yeah.
Like, that team was just loaded with freaking studs. And then now two of them are going to be in the Super Bowl here this weekend or in 2 weeks, And it's so hard, I'm torn because obviously Stafford's our boy, Georgia guy. You got Sony, you got Leonard. I would say most of me is rooting for the Rams. The fact that what Stafford's done, the crap that he had to go through at Detroit, finally gets the hell out of there, goes to a place that actually can win. He's doing it in his first year. But Joe Burrow is just such a likable human being.
I know.
And someone you want to root for that, I'm not going to be mad. I'll say this. I'm not going to be mad one way or the other.
So why is it? I totally agree with everything you just said. Why is Joe Burrow so likable, so relatable? People just gravitate towards him. I think he's like unapologetically himself, but he's not over the line. He just is who he is. Like, people know his story. They know that he transferred from Ohio State. I saw the screenshots of him as a senior in high school messaging recruiting analysts from websites saying, hey, you have any tips for me? I'm not really getting recognized. I'd love to know how I could get some more exposure. Then he goes to LSU. He becomes Joey B. Everybody loves him. Okay, his first season starting, and then one of the best college football teams the second year, becomes the number one overall pick. I don't know what it is about him, but you can't not like him. Like, I have not seen one person say, I can't stand Joe Burrow.
No one at all. I mean, you even see stuff in the locker room in Cincinnati about his leadership. As soon as he walked into the locker room, he was the guy. Guys believed in him, and now just absolutely kicking butt. So like I said, man, I won't be mad one way or the other. It was an awesome game to see those guys rally back. I mean, I thought, like, holy crap, Kansas City is rolling. They can't be stopped. Patrick Mahomes is stupid good. Kelsey and Tyreek, like, those guys cannot be stopped.
Yeah.
I mean, they are going up and down the field like they're playing a JV football team, for goodness sakes. All of a sudden, second half comes out. Cincinnati learns how to play defense once again. Joe Burrow, you know what he can do. They came back, turned in overtime, and man, it's crazy to see what one guy can do. And it's different. It is different. I must say, it is different than say what Trevor Lawrence has to do at Jacksonville, or what's his name has to do it for the New York Jets. Like, Cincinnati was not like a super crappy organization. Like they've been in the playoffs. They've had success. Carson Palmer was a stud there for Cincinnati for a long time. Like they just needed a guy like Joe Burrow to help them take it to the next level.
Yeah.
And Jamar Chase. And they did that, man. It's crazy. Guy in 3 years could possibly win the Heisman, an SEC championship, a national championship, and a Super Bowl.
First time ever.
Wow.
No quarterback in history,
Wow.
I don't think, has won
Nope.
the Heisman, a national championship, and a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow could do it in 3 short years. He'll have a tall test. That Rams defense is phenomenal, especially the pass rush. We all know about the Bengals' problems on the offensive line. But, you know, when the Chiefs won the coin toss, you're like, oh, this is over. There's no way they're going to stop them. And Eric Bieniemy, okay, the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, essentially getting shut out in the second half. For the second time, the Bengals did the exact same thing in week 17 when they beat Kansas City in Cincinnati. Look, it's a bad look for him, especially when there's still so many head coaching vacancies out. I think it's telling that Eric Bieniemy has not gotten a head coaching opportunity in the past. And what I have heard from my sources, okay, is that he doesn't interview well. He doesn't win the room over in an interview. Look, these interview processes for an NFL head coach, it's about likability. Obviously, it's about accomplishments. Are you a leader of men? Why hasn't he gotten a head coaching job yet?
I'll tell you one thing, though. He is a leader of men because I was around him for 3 years there in Kansas City.
And this is great.
The guys on the team respect him. They love him. He is a brilliant guy when it comes to offensive tactics. He's been with one of the best of all time in Andy Reid. He is ready to make that next step. There's a difference between getting in front of a bunch of board members and talking with them compared to can you actually lead the football players? You're not leading a bunch of guys in suits. You're leading a bunch of guys in shoulder pads, two completely different things. So they need to figure out a way to separate that of saying, hey, we, based on our intel from the way players interact with him and trust him, what he's done with the offense there in Kansas City, he is ready to be a leader among the players on our said team. So, man, it is long overdue. You know, I was talking about him when it came to like USC, vacancy coming open. He needs to be a head coach, college, NFL, whatever it is. Eric Bieniemy needs to be a head coach. I think he'll do a really, really good job.
He will certainly get his chance. I think, if there's still 6 opportunities open, you would think that he's got to be top of the list for one of those vacancies that are still out there in the National Football League. All right, let's talk about the NFC Championship game. The Los Angeles Rams down 17-7. I have to admit, when I was watching the game, Niners defense was really showing their teeth. They got a couple of touchdowns. Deebo Samuel started to show how explosive he is on the offensive side of the ball. I thought it was pretty grim looking for the Los Angeles Rams at Matthew Stafford, Sony Michel, Odell Beckham, Cooper Kupp, unguardable. The guy is absolutely phenomenal. They come back. They win the football game 20-17. Oof. The Rams go to the Super Bowl. So happy for a guy like Matthew Stafford, essentially in purgatory for 12 years in Detroit. Look, he goes in his first season out of Detroit, makes it to the Super Bowl. Who is this more Who is this more, what's the word I'm looking for? A referendum on? Is it Matthew Stafford? Who feels worse, Matthew or Matthew feels good? Sorry, I'm like jumbling over my words. What I'm getting to the point of is, how bad does Jared Goff feel? Mean, they sent his ass to Detroit. LA marches straight to the Super Bowl. I felt bad for that guy on Sunday night. I was like, oof, that's got to feel tough.
Yeah, but listen, I think you look at Goff's bank account and we can't feel too bad for him. I'm sure he's just fine.
Agreed.
Where he is, even though he's probably not in Detroit. You know how it is. I mean,
probably back in Malibu.
As soon as that game was over and the exit meetings occurred the next day for Detroit, he was in some PJ on wheels up, going back to LA to get the hell out of Detroit, especially this time of the season. So I will tell you one thing: Jared Goff is doing just fine. But I was with the Rams when Jared was heading into his second year. There's a big difference. There is a large gap between Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford.
No question.
The Rams knew it. Sean McVay knew it. That's why they made a push. I mean, listen, they got the defense. They got the receivers. The only missing piece was the quarterback. They needed a legitimate quarterback. And what did Stafford need? Stafford just needed everything because he had absolutely jack squat. He needed anything. In Detroit, a guy that we all know is one of the most talented quarterbacks in this league that just needed a supporting cast, a fan base, a front office, a head coach that he could work with to really demonstrate his talents. He's done it all year. He's done it in a big way. This playoffs was tremendous for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then was tremendous there in the second half And really in the first half too, they had missed opportunities where receivers dropped balls that could have been touchdowns for the Rams early on in that game. So, man, like I said earlier, so happy for Stafford, for Kelly. Our boy Sean Chappis made it on national TV. Saw him at the end too.
He's everywhere.
Beautiful bald head. Oh, he's everywhere.
I can't believe he was out there. I was watching that game, and we'll give a shout out to our boy Sean Chappis. You know, they cut to the box, and I see him in Allie, and I'm like, oh my God, he's there. Allie's due any day now. She's due any day now. And he said, we're going to that NFC Championship. I got to go see my boy make it to the Super Bowl. So fingers crossed they get to go to the Super Bowl. I know if they can, they will be there. Looked like they had a huge crowd in that box, deservedly so. I mean, the guys put in so much work. The coolest thing I love to watch is when they do the super slow-mo replays of Matthews' throws. It looks like they're shot out of a jugs machine. I can't get over it. He's been in the league for so long. It's almost like his arm has gotten stronger. Cooper Kupp, Ryan Clark said it on ESPN last week. He said, you know, if it wasn't for Cooper Kupp's skin color, he'd be considered one of the best receivers of all time. That's what he said on ESPN. Yeah. He was like, stop comparing Cooper Kupp to Wes Welker, to Julian Edelman, to Danny Amendola. He's like, no, you need to start comparing him to Justin Jefferson. You need to start comparing him to Odell Beckham Jr. He's like, this dude is that good. The way he runs routes, the way he gets open, the way he uses his body, it's unbelievable.
Jerry Rice.
It's crazy.
I'm not saying he's the greatest all time like Jerry Rice, but the way he runs his routes, the way he creates separation, because Jerry wasn't super fast. Jerry just know how to set up his routes to create the separation, to give the quarterback enough room to make the throws. That is what Cooper can do extremely well. His route running is some of the best you'll ever see.
It's elite. Yeah, it's elite.
Oh, my God.
It's unbelievable. And their defense, man, Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Von Miller, Jalen Ramsey, they got some dogs on that defense. It's going to be a really, really good Super Bowl. I believe that wholeheartedly. I woke up Sunday morning watching all the pregame shows, Aaron. I forgot that LA had lost 6 straight to San Francisco. I know I gave you the trends last week. That's why I took the Niners plus the 3.5, which won. But I said, I think the Rams are going to win by a field goal. And that's exactly what happened. Going to be a great lead up to the Super Bowl. So many awesome storylines. A year ago to the day where the Rams punched their ticket to the Super Bowl is when the Lions traded for Matthew Stafford. Andrew Whitworth, the seemingly 20-year left tackle, he played the majority of his career in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow getting his shot, a guy who just doesn't seem to lose. It's going to be fascinating. And where it stands right now, the Rams are like a 4.5-point favorite. The total is 48.5 points. Here are 2 trends for you. Are you ready?
Bring it.
Cincinnati Bengals this season are 5-0 against the spread when they are an underdog of 3 points or more. And since 2008, Super Bowl underdogs of 3 points or more are 8-2 against the spread.
Ooh, Drew, coming hot.
So those are some trends that would just tell you this game's going to be a little close. It's not going to be a home field atmosphere because it's the crowd's so corporate. Obviously, LA gets the added benefit of playing at home, but we'll touch on that next week. I'm fired up to break down the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be an awesome game.
Oh, hell yeah, it is. What an awesome playoff, though, for the playoffs.
Oh, unbelievable.
The numbers I just saw, I don't know who posted it on what social media. I don't know if it was the NFL or CBS or whatever, but the numbers of viewers that watched those 2 games this weekend was
like 60
incredible.
million at one point of a game. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Crazy numbers.
Almost as much as we get per podcast, but they'll get there one day.
Almost.
They'll
Maybe
get there one
day.
day.
Catch up.
All right. So Tom Brady officially retired today. Breaks over the weekend. Broke Sunday morning, day of the championship games. You turn on to NFL Sunday Countdown, NFL Network Total Access. It was like only Tom Brady talk when I was trying to get ready for the games. I think that's kind of unfortunate. Look, I know Schefter wants to scoop. I know Rappaport, they want to know what's going on. Don't you think Tom Brady has earned the right to announce it on his own? I mean, what are we doing? Today he does that. He comes out, he puts a post on Instagram. He noticeably leaves out the New England Patriots from his announcement. Doesn't mention Belichick, doesn't mention Robert Kraft, doesn't even mention the franchise, the New England Patriots, mostly all Tampa Bay talk, whatever. I'm sure he'll have the ability to properly address that in the future, but TB12 hangs him up. 22 years, greatest ever, greatest football player ever, greatest competitor in sports, top 5 easily of all time. He's done. You know what I thought about? And Barstool's Big Cat, Dan Katz, tweeted it out, and I kind of chuckled because it's so true. You know who you feel bad for? You feel bad for Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger retired. 2 days later, Tom Brady comes over the top, retires. They'll go into the same Hall of Fame class. Nobody will even recognize Big Ben's there. It's going to be the Tom Brady show. So Big Ben, you had a great career too, but Tom Brady just going to retire right on the back end of your announcement.
Big Ben right now is at Great Waters at Lake Oconee playing a round of 18. Yeah, he don't give two damns. He's had a great career. My man got a bunch of money in the pocket, and he's about to play those courses at Lake Oconee and across the world here the rest of his life. So,
thoughts on Brady? I mean, it's unbelievable. What do the Bucks do? It's okay. Here's what's going to happen.
Bruce Arians is going to retire,
done, of course.
Yeah, he got his ring. He's gone. He's moving on. Who cares? They won a Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't care. They could suck for another 20 years and figure it out from there. They won a Super Bowl. Tom Brady led him there. Thoughts on Tom Brady? Everything you just said, Drew. I mean, the greatest of all time, one of the greatest competitors of all time. Love the story. The underdog made it work. All that good stuff. I mean, he's what every quarterback aspires to be, man, when it comes to leadership, competitiveness, winning, all that. I mean, guy was 44 years old and led the NFL in most categories this year.
So unbelievable. It really, truly is.
He physically could come back next year and play.
Yeah, physically.
If he wanted to, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. But there's nothing left for him. I mean, what is there left to prove? What is there left to do? He enjoyed himself. He proved he could win without Belichick. He did that. He proved he could play at a high level, did that. So, man, congrats to Tom. Hell of a career. I'm just interested to see what he jumps on next.
You know what's crazy? I saw this tweet. I don't know how accurate it was. It was from one of those sports contract websites. And I'm almost certain, like, if he was on the roster February 4th, he was getting like a $9 million escalator. Think about that. Think about being in a place in your life where you're like, you know what? Nah, 9 mil, not enough. And he was signed through 2022. Granted, you had to put your body through that. And, you're framing life on hold for another year. But he's like, no, I'm good. I'll just head on into retirement. So TB12, the GOAT. I mean, honestly, I know that word gets thrown out a lot, but it is 100% accurate when you're describing the greatest NFL player of all time, full stop. So congrats on a great retirement, man. That is unbelievable. And he should have had the opportunity to announce it himself. I'm glad he took matters into his own hands this morning. Caleb Williams, staying on the topic of quarterbacks, finally makes it official. He is headed to USC to go join Lincoln Riley, his former head coach from Oklahoma. Not surprising, Aaron. Seemed like he took a long time to make the decision, obviously shopping his options. But USC, formidable heading into 2022. There's no doubt about it.
Woo! Favorite to win the Pac-12. I don't know if that means much because it's the Pac-12 and probably the winner of the Pac-12 still won't make the playoffs, but it's a lot of buzz around USC. You get the coaching hire, you get the quarterback, you get a couple other transfers that come in there. They have to continue to find ways to create buzz to keep people in the state of California when it comes to top recruits, because it is a hotbed. Florida, Texas, California, top three. You could put Georgia after that and some of these other states, Louisiana, but California is one of the top states when it comes to producing talent for the collegiate and then for the NFL.
Oh yeah.
There's enough buzz right now around the USC program that kids that a year ago that would have gone to Alabama or Georgia are now reconsidering and thinking about, hey, maybe I can stay in state. Maybe I can be right across the street from mom and dad and make it easier for them to come watch my games and still have a chance to compete for championships. Lincoln Riley's done a great job, and big brand, great coach, bringing in a big time player in Caleb Williams. They got to go out there and produce. But I think right now you look at USC, they have a chance to make some noise in the Pac-12 next year. And you make noise, you start winning, recruits are going to want to go there. It's just one of those brands that if they have success, people notice and recruits notice. And I think it's good for college football.
Yep. So it's official. Caleb Williams to Southern Cal to join Lincoln Riley. Trojans betting odds favorite to win the Pac-12 in 2022. Saw this great tweet this morning when the news broke from Nick Suss at Nick Suss on Twitter. He said, so to recap the 3-team trade, USC gets head coach Lincoln Riley, quarterback Caleb Williams. Oklahoma gets offensive coordinator Jeff Lebby from Ole Miss, and Ole Miss gets quarterback Jackson Dart and tight end Michael Trigg from Southern Cal. That's just the nature of college football now. Pretty unbelievable. So we'll see what else happens. Transfer portal obviously not done. Some big names still out there. And there's just a lot of time after National Signing Day. These coaches are going to have to go back to their roster and continue to recruit to see if guys want to stay before they jettison off to their new program. So news that we were alluding to last week, Aaron, before we get out of here, became official. Coach Mike Bobo is now an offensive analyst at the University of Georgia, and Brian McClendon is a wide receivers coach at Georgia. Now, I was following along some of the feedback from Georgia fans, and Coach Bobo is a lightning rod. You and I obviously are heavily in the Coach Bobo camp, super successful, 40-plus points per game, while the offensive coordinator at Georgia. People seem to think that hire of him being the offensive analyst is essentially like an offensive coordinator in waiting position. But I think it might be Brian McClendon's to be the offensive coordinator in waiting, depending on his track to become a head coach at another school. Look, what's going to happen with Coach Monken? We mentioned at the beginning of the show, still a lot of vacancies in the NFL and head coaching announcements to be made. If he gets that opportunity, Georgia has two very, very qualified candidates to essentially move in to that offensive coordinator role. And I think it would be Brian McClendon over Coach Bobo. Two great guys to get back in the building, though. That's exactly what Kirby Smart wants.
Oh, yeah. Or maybe you do some kind of co-offense coordinator for both those guys if Monken does decide to move on to the NFL, if he has that opportunity. But I think huge to get those type of minds and those, obviously BMAC's a hell of a recruiter too.
Big time.
To get those two guys in the building is just showing the strength of Georgia right now. As Georgia continues to get stronger, one of the things that we didn't mention here, Auburn is getting weaker and weaker.
Oh, my
They lose
God.
Bobo.
Totally, yeah.
They lose Mason. They lose their new offensive coordinator who decides not to come. I'm telling you what.
Do you have any intel on that?
My intel is Harson's a pain in the ass to work with.
And he just said,
he's a micromanager, and people don't want that.
Huh.
I mean, Auburn, I'm telling you.
He must be a pretty brutal micromanager if that kid left in 6 weeks.
Auburn's going to be 5-7 next year, 6-6 the next year, and Harson's going to get fired. And Auburn's going to redo the cycle all over again. I mean, what gives you any confidence right now, Auburn, without an OCDC, and we're the first week of February, without a quarterback, gives you any confidence in the SEC West, the hardest conference in America, that team's going to be successful next year?
I don't know, but it is a bad look.
It's a bad look going on at Auburn right now.
Whew.
Their fault, man. They should have never fired Gus.
And he was such a lightning rod too. I mean, half the fan base hated him. Yeah. The other half loved him. It was unbelievable. The guy beat Nick Saban 3 times. I mean, how are you going to fire that guy?
Took them to a natty too, right?
Yeah.
But
unbelievable.
It's the world we live in with coaches nowadays. But no, huge get for Georgia. I talked to Bobo the other day. He's really excited to be back. Laney's excited to be back. The kids are excited. Obviously, their eldest son's going to be at Georgia committed, going to be showing up in the summertime. So Bobo is ready to go, man. And the first thing he says is, damn, these facilities, unbelievable.
I saw that video of BMAC walking through. He was like, oh, and he came from Oregon. He was like, oh man, this is legit. Yeah, it is extremely legit. So, Georgia recruits itself, get those coaches in there to seal the deal. You got a powerhouse. I just saw the Florida State games moving to Friday after Thanksgiving this year. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. I think that's about it. Anything else there, brother?
No. You and I are going to go get some new golf clubs here soon. Other than that.
Yeah, I'm fired up. Heading to True Spec Golf in Atlanta. A little Mura golf.
We need to go play with the people who want our contest. What we need to do.
Yeah, we need to do that. Obviously the weather's been pretty brutal. I emailed those guys. So be on the lookout for that. Probably go to Setting Down. That's where we need to go.
I'm down. I got to play.
Yeah.
I'm so bad right now.
All right. Well, let's find a little 60-degree day in February, and we'll get the boys out, the Punt and Pass listeners, to our golf day, which will be a blast. And then we still have dinner coming up with Jeff Coker, I think is his name.
Yep.
So we're fired up for that. And that is on Prize Picks tab. So shout out to Prize Picks. That's coming up here pretty soon. Love these quick episodes of Punt and Pass, getting you caught up on everything that's going on in the world of football. And we'll see you next week for a little Super Bowl preview. Be sure to follow us on social media at Punt and Pass, puntandpass.com. I am at Drew Butler on Instagram and Twitter. He is at Aaron Murray 11. And we will talk to you next week. See you.